job, and I want to work to make sure more people who don't have a job, who want to work or are underemployed, can have a job. That's what we should be focused on here on this Labor Day. A day that we honor the working men and women of this country. A day, though, that there are 23 million of our fellow Americans who are out of work or in a job that is underemploying their skills and their talent and their education. We have Southern Virginia University here. We have Washington Lee, VMI, and other universities around our Commonwealth of Virginia. On average, young people, and I see young people from both parties involved here, 50% of young people right now are either underemployed or unemployed. That's unacceptable. The person here has the wrong conclusion at the bottom of her sign, but it says save our economy, homes, and farms. That's what we do need to do. That's a different, I understand, same goals, different ways of achieving it. And folks, Congressman Goodlatte is writing all his prescriptions of what needs to be done. I want to be a partner with Bob Goodlatte in the U.S. Senate. They'll pass things in the House, but the Senate doesn't act for over 3 years on a budget. We need an effective, accountable, and efficient government. And Bob's right. We need a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution and line item veto authority for the President as well. Folks, there's a lot of threats coming out of Washington that we're facing. All the things folks talked about, $1 trillion annual deficits, underemployment, unemployment. There's even more coming that's harming us. And that is this latest failed deal, the sequestration, that is going to potentially knock out 200,000 good-paying jobs here in Virginia and adversely affect our military readiness. There are others, and you've heard them, who talk about this as an occasion to raise taxes. Raising taxes does not create any jobs, except maybe at the IRS. Raising taxes would take away jobs, would make our economy even weaker than it is now. And I want to be very clear with each and every one of you all. The men and women who serve in our armed forces should never be used as a political bargaining tool to raise taxes on job-creating skills. Now, I know things look tough, and people say, how can people get together? A lot of these folks here, including Virgil, he was a Democrat in those days. When I was governor, we worked with a Democrat majority, or Democrat control of the legislature. What did we do? We cut taxes. We had prompt permitting. We invested in higher education and froze college tuition. We made communities safer, brought accountability in schools, and over 300,000 net new jobs were created in that 4-year period. That is using these common sense conservative principles that help create more jobs and opportunity in Virginia. The other side can't say that. And I'm not going to get into the other side, but it's a good comparison. What we need to do is bring those same sort of principles working together, not work with anyone. I'm obviously going to work with Bob Goodlatte. I'll work with Senator Warner. Anybody who wants to provide more job opportunities to Americans needs to be unified, and we all want to be unified behind this mission. Let's send a message to the world that America is open for business again. More efficient, more effective, and focused on its primary responsibilities of national defense. And that means keeping our promises to our veterans and their families for the benefits they've earned. It also means that we thank God that we're blessed with the most energy resources in the world. This is the good news. If we, and I've heard this, and Susan has as well, from the coal fields to our coast, Virginians are ready, willing, and able to provide America with the energy to propel and power our economy. We need to stop EPA from outlawing coal. represent y'all in the United States Senate on day one. I'm introducing a bill to allow us in Virginia to produce oil and gas off our coast and use those royalties for roads and transportation. And with Paul Ryan and Mitt Romney in the White House, they'll stop EPA's assault on coal, and they'll say yes to us in Virginia and utilizing our energy and producing those jobs. Folks, some may be on one side, some on the other. Some may be undecided. As we go forward, I hope this will be a campaign based on ideas and proven solutions and reforms that will get this country moving again. Americans deserve better than having 23 million people out of work or underemployed. Our young people, future generations, deserve more than the prospect of moving back home after graduating from college. And so as we go forward, I know for our part, and it's great to see this grassroots effort. And Susan and I thank each and every one of you grassroots workers. I wasn't on a horse today, I was on foot. It wasn't the cavalry, part of the infantry. Because that's how it's going to be won, on a grassroots level. And my view is, anybody who uses electricity should be on our side, unless you want to have higher electricity costs. Anybody who drives a car, unless you like paying $30 more than you did over 3 years ago, every time you fill up, anybody who drives a car should be on our side. Anybody who thinks healthcare decisions ought to be made by doctors and patients rather than bureaucracies in Washington. Anybody who pays taxes, unless you want to pay higher taxes, ought to be on our side. Anybody who works for a living or would want to get a job should be on our side because we produce those results. And most importantly, anybody who cares about the future of their children and their families should be on our side. So folks, 2012 is a vital election. Mark Warner, I agree with him. This is a very important election. I think it's as important as the 1980 election in determining the course of our country. The decisions made by Virginians will not just affect Virginia. It will affect the U.S. Senate. It will affect and determine who the next president is. And so we have a heavy responsibility. Let's get the facts out, get the issues, the ideas, the solutions, and the records out to the people of Virginia. And I'm convinced that when Virginians decide on November 6th, 64 days from now, everyone's going to be watching us here in Virginia. And it will be a decision that will determine the country's future. I think that Americans are going to be smiling because Virginians are going to stand strong for freedom. And with our side